Hi, welcome back to Dove Twang. I'm Dave. So we've got a kind of a slow rock groove here. It's a 2-5 progression for B flat major. So take our 2 chord. It's going to be C minor or C minor 7. And then our 5 will be F or F7. Dominant. Okay. My sound's pretty souped up today. I did that for a reason. It sounds good with this track, I think. And when you have your sound a little more interesting, you want to hang out on your notes a little bit more, right? At least I do. And, you know, if you got that compressor and some sustain on there and a little bit of flange or whatever I got going on here, I did take the delay way down so you don't hear all that trailing of the notes. Then, you know, it feels good to hang out. Right? So your sound can really, you know, boost your creativity and get you into what you're playing, right? A lot of you ask about the tone and stuff in the comments, and I try to send you screenshots of how I'm setting up the virtual amp and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, just, you know, jump on the comments and check it out. So we've got a 2-5. Okay, that's our only 2 chords. A lot of good rock songs really rely on that groove right there. Though this is something that you'll notice it a lot once you learn this. It'll remind you of certain songs. We're going to use that minor pentatonic. Goes really well with the stuff and bends. I'm going to show you some of those. One thing that I want to make sure we really focus on today in this lesson is this using some extra chord tones that we're really aware of and we're really hunting them down. Mostly the 5th. And here's what I mean by that. I'm just going to play a couple of notes here with this track, and then we'll talk about it and build on that. Okay, now the 2 notes that I really featured there were G over the C chord, the C minor, and C when we were on the F chord. Now, why am I counting up like that? Each one of those is the 5th of those chords. So back to the C minor 7. And major or minor, if you're down on these lower strings, it's going to be that power chord, right? That 5th. You want to get really used to just seeing and hearing that relationship right there. Okay, because it has a real strong harmonic resonance with the root, almost interchangeable sometimes. But it also is leading, like, hey, this is going somewhere. It's not just the root, right? So, well, real quick. So for C, C minor in this case, is the fifth is G. So just look for some of those, right? Don't spend a lot of time just playing, hunting down notes. You put it into a musical context immediately, because otherwise it's just kind of loose stuff in your head, you know. But take a minute to just, you know, familiarize yourself with where some of those are. But more importantly, once you find any of them, just one of them, turn your track on and really start using that. So the G is the fifth for C, and C, okay, is the fifth for F. So just using those two, and then do a little timing. You know, when you limit yourself to something like this, you have to really be creative with your other elements. G for the C. That's that C for the F. They'll also overlap, so you don't have to always be on time. Okay. Now, snuck that one in there, didn't I? That's the third for the C minor. Now, that's another one. Now you get your root, your third, and your fifth, you know, in there, and kind of slow down and really start moving this way as well as up and down, and you'll really come up with some cool little harmonies. I want to talk mainly about the fifth here, because I don't want to, you know, try not to put so much out there that it just kind of falls apart on you. But the same principles would work for the third. Not going to be quite as solid and versatile as the fifth, but really colorful. So you after you get comfortable with the root and the fifths, you can work some of those thirds in there too. This is what's being talked about online and in a lot of lesson environments, teaching environments, about chord tones, targeting chord tones. Sometimes, you know, it's like, wow, we're going to target the root, third, 5, 7, and 9, you know, and you're like, okay, you know, not, you know, not on your first, your first lesson on chord tones, right? You know, just, you know, the fifth is going to really be a game changer for you if you're not used to this. So now I'm just going to show you some licks that really incorporate this by connecting with pentatonic stuff. Hopefully this can be a pretty straightforward conceptual method for you. But again, the creativity is in your being patient and letting those notes ring out and really, you know, investigating where to go next. And when you hit something that sounds deep and rich, hang out there, you know. So let me just turn this on and get a couple little licks going, then I'll stop it and we'll break them down. That's that third of the F. So now dealing mostly with fifths. Let's look at that. Now that's G. So recall what the notes are that we're looking for here, right? Fifth for C, G. Okay. And then, so I did some stuff like, right? So the targeting part is that I'm going to land on that G or just start on it. You know, at first, just. That's the C for the F. Okay. But quickly, you know, make it musical. So here's something I really want to point out. That G, also this note, and also that one bent, okay? So you really want to get into that right here. Okay. Now, if you notice, it works over both chords, right? It's actually a different chord tone. There's your homework. See if you could tell what chord tone that is over the F7. That's our trivia for the day. What chord tone is that G if we're playing it over the F7? Okay. But I hope you can hear that. You can put them together, or you can separate them, or different combinations of that. Then you could do the same thing. Well, wait a minute. If that works for G over the C minor 7, our next one's F, what if I find a C, which is our fifth for F, right? And try that up here. Well, we got a theory. Now we just got to test it. Okay, now see how those phrasings lasted like 4 times around the progression, right? So this isn't stuff where you got to think C, C, F, F, C. You can do that at first, but when you really start to relax and let this stuff ring out, you're like, oh yeah, you know, I'm kind of making a statement, and then the answer to it was, you know, it's like an 8-bar phrasing instead of 2, right? And that's really cool. And that's where you get that more kind of stretched out melodic feel that gives you a lot of tension and emotion in your playing. So let's pick out a couple more ideas here for licks, and we'll get you to the practice loop. Hopefully the concept's starting to sink in there now. And here's another one I'll share with you that this isn't going to end up being on the fifth of one of the chords, but it's another simple one that really sounds good and illustrates this kind of taking the same lick and moving it around. So here's the. Oh. we got, we could easily go on to a whole, other half an hour of pentatonic licks here. But all the stuff that you've been working on, if you're really, for this progression, really investigate doing stuff here and then up here. It's not always going to come out exactly all the way up and down these two positions, but a lot of that stuff will seem interchangeable. Let's try it. Now, this is really getting into, composition of a solo versus just scale running. That's some pretty, pretty good stuff if you really dig into that. So let me just slow that down. Don't worry about copying every aspect of that, but I may have played that first note off one. Okay, and just like we analyzed the bend on this as going to that G, when we do that here, it's C. It's the fifth of that F. See? Now, this is what's the fun part of this for you is, checking all this out, investigating it, and then seeing how the pieces fall together, and it's really cool. We're not going to do a lot more analysis on this because what I just showed you, you could spend a fair amount of time really checking this out. Here's the G. If I do it here. Now, I know I said I was going to make you investigate it, but I guess I can't stop myself. When I bend it here, it equals F. So we're using a lot of roots and fifths, and that sounds cool in a slow rock groove like this, especially when you do some of the notes separated in sound and some of them together. Here's what I mean by that. It's hard to do at first. Be easy on yourself. Don't try to practice this all in one night, or you'll just, your hand will hurt and you'll be mad. Start by mapping it, but then each day, hang out and try to get your mechanics down on that. And you get to where you can move those two back and forth over a 2-5 progression like this, things are going to come alive, man, really fast.